Hey, I want to do a quick video here today to address a couple of different topics, a couple of things that bother me. And they revolve around the mass shootings that have occurred. And it's not the mass shootings themselves, those bother everybody, but there's one thing that we as gun owners have been doing, or at least a small portion of us have been doing, that really bothers me. First off is the conspiracy theories. Why do so many people jump to conspiracy theories right off the bat? To me, that just shows a weakness of character. It shows me that you can't accept that sometimes bad people do horrible things for very little reason, if any reason at all. It's just a reality of life. Evil people exist. And, you know, they're not all mentally ill. Every time someone does something, they're like, they're mentally ill. That's not true. I'm a mental health professional. I can tell you some people, to say they have a mental illness implies that they are somehow treatable, that there is a solution to their condition. Some people just have a condition that is untreatable. They are just awful people. They are what I refer to, and a lot of people in the profession will refer to behind the scenes as broken people. They are just broken. They are not treatable. This person appears to be one of those broken people. I mean, this guy was a child abuser, a spouse abuser, an animal abuser. He was just every bad thing you can think of for a person. And it just seems like he carried it through to the fullest extent. He was a broken person. And broken people do bad things. And we don't have to have a great government conspiracy behind it to explain it. It's a very simple thing. Sometimes horrible people do horrible things, and there's not some grand conspiracy behind it. In fact, conspiracies are few and far between because they're hard to maintain. They're very hard to maintain, especially in today's society where information travels faster than the speed of light. So jumping to a conspiracy theory immediately shows a weakness of character in the person, if you ask me, and it shows an ignorance of reality. Like everything's a conspiracy theory and they're just easy to keep because this is not the truth. And when you do that, when you start spouting conspiracy theories right off the bat or repeating stuff you saw on the internet, it doesn't make you a good proponent of the Second Amendment. It makes you a crackpot. You cannot be a proper supporter of anything if people see you as a nut job, if you don't address things rationally. And conspiracy theories right off the bat with no information, that's not rational. So I wish we would stop doing that. And the second thing I wish we would stop doing is trying to point the finger of blame. Like trying to say, this guy was a Bernie supporter, and then that turns out not to be true. Or, this guy was an Antifa member, and that turns out not to be true. Or, this guy that shot all those people, he voted for Hillary Clinton, and then that turns out not to be true. You know, it just, all this finger pointing at the beginning, for one, it's meaningless. And it's dangerous. And I'm going to tell you why it's dangerous. Because if we start saying, well, this group is responsible for this broken person that was one out of a million of them that did something horrible, well, then we have that same responsibility. So when some crazy nut job like Timothy McVeigh blows up a building, well, that was our fault. It's not our fault. No organization that doesn't intentionally espouse violence and violent acts is responsible if one single broken nut job does something heinous because of what they said. They're not responsible for that. If I say right now, I don't like redheads, and someone goes out tomorrow with a hammer and starts bashing redheads because I said I don't like redheads, that doesn't make me responsible for that, because any rational person is just going to go like, hey, Yankee isn't attracted to redheads. But some crazy person did something crazy. That's not my fault. Now, if I subtly try to influence people to do things, that's a little different. But just based on, someone watches my channel and they go do something, that would be my fault. Or someone watches Suits and they go do something, that's his fault. No, that's garbage. And it's the same thing with, like, just because someone voted for Hillary or voted for Trump and then they go do something heinous, the Hillary and Trump vote had nothing to do with it. It was completely unrelated. They are broken people. They do broken things. So stop pointing fingers at people saying it's your group's fault because he attended one of your meetings. No, we can't do that. That's ridiculous. We don't blame the majority for the actions of the smallest minority. That's not the way we work. So stop doing that. That's part of the whole conspiracy thing. As soon as someone does something, they're like, he was a Bernie supporter, he was an Antifa member, he was this, and then people just spread it all over the internet, and then it turns out to not be true, and we look like a bunch of idiots, and we look like people that refuse to accept that sometimes bad people do bad things, even using a right that we support. Like someone will use their Second Amendment rights to do something bad. That's something we have to accept, not make excuses for and try to pretend like we're casting blame everywhere. Just accept that sometimes broken people do bad things. Just like people who have freedom of speech sometimes say heinous things. I mean, sometimes, speech is sometimes some of the most damaging things in the world. It's one of the most damaging things in the world. Rhetoric has gotten a lot of people killed. Probably as many as people as rifles have gotten killed, because the rifles didn't cause those people to get killed. They were just an instrument used in killing those people in times of war, etc. But the rhetoric that led up to it, that's more responsible for the deaths than the rifle is. But yet we don't attack the First Amendment. So stop putting this standard on the Second Amendment like that we have to somehow defend it by pretending that everyone who does something wrong with a gun somehow either shouldn't have had their Second Amendment right, or that they somehow were not a real supporter of the Second Amendment if they did something wrong. Because that's not true. So let's just stop doing that. Let's stop pointing fingers. Let's stop promoting weird conspiracy theories with no evidence. Let's just start dealing with the facts that sometimes broken people do horrible things and leave it at that.